Well, earlier Sherry and I were talking about wet clothes, and I triggered a memory. I was in basic training, and as a preface, I was going through some of the military questions, and they ask you like, at the time this was '94, so they were like, "Have you ever done gay stuff?" I was like, "Well, like yeah, with a relative," and they're like, "I go, but the counselor said it was normal," and he's like, "This is true." And so it was like a long-haired hippie guy that was not, like a normal military contractor guy. And he's like, "They're gonna love you," and I was like, "Sweet, they're gonna love me." Boy, did they ever! So, uh, so being in recovery, I'll go back a little further. Being in recovery, I discovered a whole new world of a way of being, which is being overly honest. And to me, it sort of it resembles the ideas that brought forth in the Boy Scout program, right? Because the what they tell you to do, right? We've gone through all that, trustworthy, loyal, all that shit. So they tell you to do that, but when you actually do it, it's a nightmare. So, and they don't tell you that part, right? They just tell you to be all those things. And when you hit reality, real life is not like that at all. And so that was like the first little inkling of, my honesty getting me in trouble. So we're in basic military training, that's why I pulled this up. It's called BMT. I'm like, Jared and Subway, that sounds good. So, but, so I can't quite remember if the TI had purposely not given us enough time to complete a task, and we took it upon ourselves. We took the initiative to do laundry because we had like an hour to kill or something like that, and we probably should have just been doing a GI party, impromptu one. Even though on Sundays that's when you usually do a GI party, which means you clean fucking everything. And they usually stick you in a training bay that hasn't been touched in like, a year. It's been sitting dormant for a year. And so it needs maintenance, and that's what you're there for. So it's good practice. But so I'm going to assume that she didn't give us enough time and that this was purposeful. Okay. So she purposely didn't give us enough time to do laundry. So we had to pull the laundry early. So wet clothes, right? That's the reference. So there, I had volunteered for the Drum and Bugle Corps. Is that right? Yeah, Drum and Bugle Corps. Because the TI that I had, that's technical instructor. The TI that I had before, she was the NCO of the year. She was fucking badass. And I was also a flight leader in that previous one. And when I transferred, my skill set did not get recognized as easily by this new TI, which was fine. I was like, less responsibility for me, and it went to Bill Wartman, who later on went to AWACS. If you find Bill Wartman, tell him I said I love you, and I think about you several times a week. He's a great guy, and I still laugh at some of the jokes that we shared in basic training. So, so we didn't have enough time, so we pulled the laundry. And I told the guys to stash it in, I think, in the ceiling. Yeah, behind the ceiling tiles. And so she comes in, and she was this fiery redhead, and she had decided to quit smoking the week that she was training us. And it was such a cake job. Like, all we were supposed to really do, we got out of all of our chores that were on base that other flights did. And we were just supposed to basically practice band and then do parades, and we were fanfare and things like that for the Air Force. It was good. It's PR. And so, but they still want you to have like proper military training and discipline and things like that. So we stashed the laundry. She comes in yelling, and she knows it's in there, right? But she doesn't know where. So she's like looking through the empty bay and the lockers in there and all that stuff. And there's very little hiding places. And again, this was not the first, we were not nobody's original when you go there, right? You're talking about millions of cycles, right? So everything you can possibly imagine has been done. And that's one of the reasons why they tell you when you're taking out the trash at night, do not have sex in the fucking dumpsters, right? And the reason why they tell you that is because they know you're STD free, because in order to get in the military, you have to be STD free. And, there's other people that are taking out the trash at the same exact time. And you're just like, what's up? Let's fuck. So, but, so she finds the laundry and she starts yelling at the laundry dudes. And I can't take it. And so I run in there and I take responsibility for it. And she's dumbfounded. She doesn't know what to say. She doesn't know what to do. And which is really, to me, it was wonderful, because she can't punish me, right? I did the right thing. But what you find out that the real military training is about keeping secrets, right? Because that's what you do in the military. And you work as a team, right? It's not a solo project. And so I think what was supposed to happen was everybody was supposed to stick together and not let one guy, leave no man behind, that kind of shit. But it's the Air Force, so we don't think in gruntyisms, stuff that like the Marines and the Army do. They're there to fucking stop bullets and clean up the Air Force's mess. So take my tray, bitch. But so I go in there and I take full responsibility, and I got that training from Omega Vector and my training there. And it's terrifying. I didn't know what was going to happen. And but she didn't do anything. So I went in there and I did my reporting statement, and I said, Airman Chandler reports as ordered. I take full responsibility of the the fuckery. And she's like, goddamn right. And then she just left. It was like, the fuck was that about? And they don't tell you. And so, but I knew, because of the way that she acted, it's a weird thing, because we didn't stick together, right? That's really the lesson that you learn. And that's how you escape basic training, is that you figure it out, that you don't clean all your clothes. You live in your dirty clothes, and you keep the clothes that are in your locker super pressed, because you did that at the fucking GI party. You get one guy that does all the shirts, and they're all perfect, and so you never wear them. And so then you keep like you don't want to be like dirty laundry, but once you do the clothes, you don't fold them. You put them back into your dirty laundry little hamper thing that hangs from your bed, and then you pull them out and wear them. They're still clean, but they're just not folded and neat and all that stuff. Because otherwise, there's not enough time for you to do everything that they tell you to do. So that's really the lesson that you learn from basic training, is that, see, that guy is making his fucking bed. Guess what? I never made my fucking bed. I was chow runner, right? Which is supposed to be a punishment, but I ended up doing 0 chores. And then I said that I could play the trumpet, which was true in 7th and 8th grade, but I was not good. I was like 4th chair. I was like not great. And so, and then the other thing was, I'm kind of large in stature, so they had to what's called redline me on my shirts. So the only shirts that they had for me were long sleeve. And so we're in fucking Texas, and then we're doing parades, and they're like, God damn it, we got to work with this guy. And I'm in my dress blues. And so they put me at the back of the fucking parade, and they gave me some gloves to wear. And then I would just pick up any drumsticks or whatever if somebody dropped something or whatever. So my whole career through basic training, because that's what it feels like. It's only 6 weeks, but it's 6 working day weeks. So each working week is 6 working days. And I don't think you work, they don't count Saturday and Sunday as working days, even though you work every day. So, or training days, that's what it is. It's 6 weeks training. And that's how they get you too. They go, it's training weeks, but it ends up being like 8 or almost 10 weeks, depending on what you do. But so, and they ended up calling me, well, that was Bill Wartman. He ended up calling me, he called me Nancy. And I thought that was like a, was it pejorative? Is that the word that's coming to mind? Anyways, I thought it was an insult because, like Karen or something like that. But no, he was calling me Nancy after Nancy Kerrigan because I skated through basic training. I did no chores. I was the fucking chow runner, so I didn't even make my own bed. And they did everything for me. And then, then we were, jumping bugles, so we never had to do any, like, mowing the lawns or even KP, kitchen patrol. We didn't have to do any of that shit. So it was fucking great. And I was the very tail end of that. And that was really my whole Air Force training career, including technical school, where I would just pass by the skin of my teeth and by my charm. Some jokes and things like that. Witty and being brutally honest. So I would recommend for someone who wants to lead a life like that to just be aware that you're going to get hurt a lot. But what's great is that it makes you strong, and it makes you very wise and alert and aware. And I was. I think the only time I ever broke my what they call military bearing. It's something that you learn in training. It's about being focused and not allowing distractions, even if there's like bugs flying. And the relatable activity is like, if you're in war conditions, with artillery or bullets flying past your head, you can still do your fucking job so people don't die, and that's the whole point. So, but the only time I took a break and kind of fucked off was. I think it was like the last week of training, and they had me on fucking night guard duty, which everyone had to do. Like, that was probably the only chore. And then, of course, I don't even do that chore. I go into the day room and jack off. And that was like the first time I jacked off in like 6 weeks. So it was like shooting a rope. It was like Peter North all over again. And it was great. What was it? And I didn't tell anybody about it until Bill Wartman. I ran into him because when he was an AWACS, which is it was a weather plane and you have to do multiple disciplines, and so you have to pass multiple tech schools, and one of them happened to be in Biloxi, where I was stationed for my training, and so I got to see him again, and I was like, and he happened to be in my fucking day room in my training hall, and I was like, fuck this guy, because he was not nice to me in basic training. But and I love it. He made fun of me when I don't know where I picked this up at, but one time I was getting out of the shower, and I'm a tall guy. I'm very broad shoulders, but I'm only like 6'1", and he's like 6'4". Like, he's way bigger than me. But these towels that they would give you in basic, they were just really tiny towels. It was like maybe like one of the like a foot towel, like something when you get out of the shower and you step on. It was that small. And so I can't dry off with something like that. And so what I would do when I got out of the shower was I would squeegee off and, to get rid of the excess water. And so Wartman says, he's like, look at this fucking guy. He's squeegeeing. And then on top of that, my dad taught me a trick on how to dry off when you didn't have a fan. And that was to use your towel to fan you. And it also is great because you get underneath your balls real good. And so I was doing that, and he's like, "Oh my God, look at the sack on this guy." It was great. It was very funny, and I appreciated that. Not at the time. I did not appreciate that. I got really embarrassed and did not like it. But then we were able to become friends afterwards when he was doing his training in Biloxi. So, and I assume he went off and, whatever, guarded America, knowing its weather and flying into fucking hurricanes and shit like that. And so his name was Bill Wartman, and he even saved me when we went to get pictures taken for basic training. Going there, for some reason I didn't listen to the fucking instructions, and I had to have a copy of my orders, and luckily they make you keep a spare in your cargo pocket, so I had that, and it saved me. And then I was also supposed to have like my jacket, but I don't think I had it, so I ended up wearing his jacket because he was the only other guy that was as big as me. It was a little bigger. So actually, in my Air Force picture, and I'll use that as the thumbnail because it's hilarious. My Air Force picture, if you look, I'm sure you can't read it, but I know it's there. But on the name tag, it says Wartman, so not Chandler, right? So, and then of course, when you see the picture, you're gonna love it because it's all me, and I was the only person that had ever done that in their picture, and I was like, like I got worried that like, when I get accused or whatever of Patrick David Chandler, mass murderer. It's like it was for a good cause, like I don't want them to show a mean picture of me. So I have this really big, like almost lottery smile. It's fucking great. They're like, do you want copies of this? I'm like, no, I think I just need one. That's fine. But I'll make that with a thumbnail and you'll see that when I post this video. But yeah, Bill Wartman, William Wartman. And he should be about my age. He was a little bit older. And he actually got picked to be flight, whatever it is, flight, not chief or whatever, but commander, whatever, the flight leader or something like that. I think that's called, because he had actually ROTC training, and he was actually going through basic training with like E3 pay, which is fucking great, or E2 pay. Anyway, it was like a big advantage, and he was the obvious choice. I was not, but it was weird going from being not in command of, but like being responsible. And then I get to this new flight and I'm like not responsible. Like I get no responsibilities. I'm just treated like everyone else. And I stick out like a sore fucking thumb. And a lot of that comes from me just being honest and me being myself. I was telling Ari today, I was telling him that I was raised Mormon and he couldn't believe that I was raised Mormon. And I said, well, yeah, I said, they indoctrinate you, but it takes some time for me to develop who I am and for me to live a life that I am. And that's one of the reasons why I live my life the way that I do. And why I work from home and things like that. I do not work well with others. I do not do this shit at all very well, and I don't want to. And, when I go, oh, fuck this, then everybody, all these guys that feel sorry for themselves, they're like, well, you think you're better than this? And I go, yeah, I am. And so is that sergeant, and so is that fucking butterbar watching us do all this bullshit. So, but I just wanted to share that story as maybe like a dreamtime, bedtime story for you guys about the military. I certainly do not appreciate any organization, especially the federal government, owning my ass. And when you join the military, they own you and they treat you like property. And it's very, I would not say humbling. It's very degrading. And but they make it seem like, you're dying for your country. No, it's a fucking waste of time. Now, is there a better training system for discipline available? No. And that's the cut. That's what is hard to do in the civilian world, is to get to the kind of discipline and team training that you get with these. And that's why a lot of especially fucking start.coms in Silicon Valley, they'll go and do this shit. They'll, and it's to get, people over their fears and all that kind of stuff and to conquer that stuff. And again, it just, in that situation where all these people make, $150,000 a year and they're doing this to overcome their fears, it's not effective. Now, this guy, he's fighting for his fucking life because he came out of poverty and that's his only fucking way of paying for college, his only chance of paying for college. Yeah, and that was me. Because I asked my mom, I was working as a busboy at fucking Stuart Anderson's Black Angus. And I asked her, I said, so is there any way you can help me pay for college or even just community college? And she's like, ha! I'll be lucky if I make rent. And I was like, oh shit. And then she laughed at me basically, I found out later she was goading me and trying to make me be like a real man. She's was it borderline personality disorder. So and I didn't know this. So I took her at face value, but she's a cunt. So, but that stuck with me forever. And I realized that if I wanted to do something in this world, I had to do it on my own. And that's not always the case. And I want to let you guys know that. And that's one of the reasons why I do these videos. That's why I share these stories with you, is that you're not alone, and you don't have to be alone. Now, what you would be doing is not popular, and certainly not common. And will it make you outstanding? Yes, it'll make you stand the fuck out. And so I just want you to be prepared that this is part of that, and you're going to run into struggles, and that's why they make these guys do all this shit. Now, what's ironic is when it came time for do all this. This is called the confidence course, and see right there, we couldn't make it. Try again, all that stuff. We never even fucking did it. They had us run it, meaning they didn't, like, it was raining, and they were worried that people were going to slip and get hurt, and then you miss your window for tech school, and so they didn't have us do any of this. We didn't do any of this stuff. We just, in our BDUs, I don't even think they made us wear helmets. I don't even remember that. And then they made us run. We just ran the course. That was it. And you would run around all the obstacles. We didn't do any of this shit. This was all for like regular people. We were special. We were all Nancy's. Oh my God. I love you guys. Sleep tight. I will talk to you tomorrow.